Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be playing a little bit of Grock here, and that's for two reasons. First of all, well, I need to do a bit of healing for my Trials of the Realm. I've kind of been slacking off on that recently, and so, well, it's an excuse to make a healing video, I guess. But secondly, I want to talk about Grock's playstyle, Spirit's Domain, because, well, this talent is a very, very weird talent, and has been for a while. Honestly, I find it to be a very fun playstyle for Grock, just going around shooting your teammates to heal them and seeing a bunch of big healing numbers, and they have buffed it a lot over the past few years, with the most recent buff allowing him to provide a movement speed buff, and also have even more ammo on his staff when healing with Spirit's Domain. But despite all of the buffs, this talent is still his worst talent, and I want to explain why it just is directly inferior to Totemic Ward in a lot of ways, even though on paper, it seems like a very strong talent, and it can indeed be a fun playstyle. And I'm not trying to knock anyone who does play Spirit's Domain, because it is fun, and I understand why, you want to play it. I myself, Grock is my highest level support, and I do very much enjoy indulging in this talent, but it's simply not competitively viable, and there are many reasons for that. But first of all, let's pick Spirit's Domain. I have the German announcer pack for some reason. I keep being forced to change my announcer pack to goofy things on stream and then not changing it back. Anyways, yeah, I'll just do this build. This has Spirit's Grace, Crackle, and then a little bit of ammo, regeneration, and max ammo for our talent. And then, of course, we're going to grab some Chronos. But yeah, let's talk about what's going on with Spirit's Domain. On paper, this talent allows you to heal your teammates with your staff for 800 healing per second, and increase their movement speed by 20% for 1 second, and you get more ammo, allowing you to basically do more shooting. And that all is very well and good. And if you are just concentrating the totem and the staff on one target, it is very good healing. Let's just heal this Nara here. Take a look at that. Boom. That's very, very nice. Another hidden feature about Spirit's Domain that it doesn't list anywhere on the talent, but is in fact the case, is that it's actually a lot easier to hit this version of the staff. There's like a built-in aim assist that works even on keyboard and mouse. So it also makes the staff, yeah, very, very consistent. So why is this talent not meta? Why is Totemic Ward consistently picked over this talent? And why is Spirit's Domain nowhere even close to the top of the meta? Like, what's going on? The numbers look great. What's the issue here? Well, there are a few primary problems. And the first is that I would actually compare Spirit's Domain to other very similar channeled healers like Ceres and Io. Ceres and Io both focus their teammates with a channeled ability, and Spirit's Domain is very, very similar to that. Just because it's your lightning staff and your primary fire, doesn't mean that it's not a channeled ability. You can very much think of it like a channeled thing. And when you compare it to those supports, it directly gets out-healed. Because both of them are healing for, I think it's over 1,000 healing per second now. So yeah, that's just straight up better than Grock's healing capability. But of course, Grock is able to stack a totem and his staff on the same target. And then, at that point, yes, you are healing for more than 1,000 healing per second. And that's all very, very nice. But the totems with Spirit's Domain are a lot smaller than with Totemic Ward, and that leads to consistency issues with the totems. And also there's another inconsistency issue with the staff itself, and that's the fact that even though it is, well, tell us. Even though that it is, more consistent than his base staff, it's still not nearly as consistent as Io or Ceres' channeled healing abilities, because those are pure auto-aim. And so, yeah, the margin for error with that is very, very high. You have a lot of room to breathe, whereas with Grock, you have to be a lot tighter. And that leads to inconsistency issues when trying to heal someone who is very mobile. Oh, I'm coming for you, Inara! No! This is so sad. But then there's another inconsistency compared to Ceres and Io, and that is Grock's relative lack of range on his staff. He actually has very short range on this compared to both of the healing abilities I've mentioned earlier, and even other healers like Moldamba with the Spirits Chosen. So it's the combination of those inconsistencies, as well as generally having less HPS than the channeled healing abilities of these other characters, that makes it a little bit less reliable. Hello, Talus, please. I want him to die. Okay. But that alone, I would say, is not enough to make this just, a bad talent. Because if this was his only way to heal, then it would still be pretty okay. Might not be as good as, like, Io or Ceres or whatever, but, it would still get the job done. And it does get the job done. Where you start to see the issues is when you compare it to his other option for healing. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. No! But yeah, when you compare it directly to his other option for healing, you see how it very quickly gets outclassed. Totemic Ward allows him to put down a third totem and greatly increase the radius of the totems. And that is huge, because it allows him to get very consistent healing. All of a sudden, the totems cover a very large radius. Pretty much the size of this room, one totem would cover. And, yeah, that's very, very good. And because you have a third charge, you can really spread them out over a large area, or concentrate the totems. And when you concentrate 3 totems on somebody like Inara, you're healing them for about 1,000 healing per second, but it's hands-free. It's not a channeled ability. And so with Totemic Ward, you can just, boom, put down a totem, and then shoot the enemies. Whereas with Spirit's Domain, well, I constantly have to channel this lightning staff directly into Maeve's forehead. Honestly, I don't know how she's able to see when I do that. That looks blinding, but anyways. So yeah, that is a major downside for Spirit's Domain, is the fact that it is a channeled ability, where if you want to heal your teammates consistently, you constantly have to be looking at them. I could be shooting that Talus if I were playing Totemic Ward, but I cannot shoot that Talus with Spirit's Domain, because I have to heal, and that involves using my staff. One other inconsistency, going back to the inconsistency argument a little bit earlier, is that, you know, as you saw there, enemies can also body block your healing, and that's another thing that doesn't really happen with Saris or Io, because they have dedicated channeled healing abilities, whereas Grohk's is, you know, a hybrid ability. You channel it on your teammates to heal them, and you shoot the enemies to damage them, but one can body block the other. If you're trying to do damage, but a teammate gets in the way, you end up healing them and you're not doing damage, and if you're trying to heal somebody, but then an enemy steps in the way, you're doing damage and you're not healing. But yeah, the fact that you're not able to do nearly as much damage with this talent is a very big problem. And it's one of the main reasons why you pick Grohk is because of his high damage output, because of the fact that he's able to put down the totem and then just go to town damaging people with his pretty high DPS output lightning staff. I mean, it's very good DPS output for a support. Ah, please live! And yeah, the healing that you get from Spirit's Domain on a single target doesn't really outweigh the downside of consistently, you know, not being able to damage enemies, because you constantly have to shoot your teammates. And, yeah, another thing is Totemic Ward is able to basically heal your entire team if they're all grouped up for that 900 healing per second, whereas with Spirit's Domain, you can put the 2 totems on somebody and it'll heal them for, like, what, roughly like 600-700 healing per second, I forget the numbers. But then, yeah, that's all you get for area healing, and then you can only heal 1 target for that high, concentrated healing output. Ah, no, please don't come me, no! And yeah, when you're picking Grohk, yeah, you're picking him for that high damage output that he's able to do, because he, with his totems, doesn't have that channeled healing ability, and he is able to actually shoot his teammates, or shoot the enemies more. But then also, you're picking him because of his powerful area healing, and Spirit's Domain is a single target thing, so it kind of goes contradictory to what you want to be doing with Grohk, which is being a very powerful area healer, and also having very powerful self-sustain. That's another thing that Spirit's Domain lacks. It doesn't have nearly as good self-sustain as Totemic Ward. With Totemic Ward, you increase your self-sustain by 50%, because you have 1 extra totem, so that's 50% more healing. Oh, please. That's a giant angry turtle. I'll put down a totem. Ah! This is where I really wish I was playing Totemic Ward, because I would have multiple totems. Oh, please. Oh, please. Ah! But yeah, it's just this combination of all these different things that I've talked about that makes Spirit's Domain an inferior talent to Totemic Ward, and thus not even remotely close to meta, even if on paper the numbers seem fine. And if it was Grohk's only healing talent, then I guess it would probably be okay. But then Grohk himself as a character would be a lot worse, because the Spirit's Domain, you're, well, sacrificing a huge portion of your damage output to do a lot of single-target healing, but that single-target healing is, well, kind of contradictory to what you want with Grohk, because Grohk, his whole design is around being a good AoE healer. And then, yeah, he just really lacks that area of effect, really lacks on that damage. It basically neuters him in terms of his effectiveness on the team, and then by the time late game rolls around, Cauterize also really screws over Grohk because he doesn't have any burst healing. And this is true for Totemic Ward as well, but when you're consistently trying to shoot your teammates, and really lacking on that damage output, but also lacking on that healing output, then you're basically doing nothing for the team. Whereas with Totemic Ward, you would have a really nice wide coverage on these totems, you'd still be able to get some healing in, but you'd really be able to focus on dealing damage, and that's great. And also, the totems, with their larger AoE, have a greater ability to spread out the Spirit's Grace card, which gives 30% movement speed to everyone inside of your totems. So there's that other utility benefit as well. Even though Spirit's Domain can stack its inherent 20% movement speed buff with the 30% from Spirit's Grace, Totemic Ward just gets wider coverage, and having a wide coverage on a movement speed buff is good, because you actually get to go places, you know? The list just goes on and on and on and on. I hope I'm not forgetting any other reason why Spirits is kind of rough. Oh god, please live. Ah! There's just so many things, so many inconsistencies, so many things that end up being, you know, nerfs to Grock when you pick this talent over Totemic. It's a fun playstyle, and I do very much enjoy it from time to time. But if I'm looking for a competitively viable playstyle for Grock, this is simply not what I go for. Grock himself is a very situational character. His high AoE and his high damage make him really good for those types of brawly comps where you have a lot of tanks, slow-moving DPS, multiple supports, that type of thing. And when you pick him there, there's just even less need for Spirit's Domain. It's just... there's not really a good situation to run this. The only time I can see it, I guess maybe having some viability over Totemic Ward is, I guess, if you are in a weird solo support situation, and you also have like a bunch of really mobile targets to heal, but even then, at that point where even picking Grock, and why not just go all in on Totemic Ward and try and be that full hybrid support that Grock is meant to be. Oh boy, I'm ulting here. This is scary. Ah! Vic, get out of here, man! Run! Run for the hills! Okay, let's get a totem down. Ah! That cauterize is really rough for us. At least we can give some good healing to Inara. There we go. So what can be done to fix Spirit's Domain? That is the fundamental question. And it is kind of a difficult question. Because how do you change him to work in a way where he's able to shoot his teammates and not be basically kneecapping himself in terms of his ability to deal damage and his ability to support the team? So, I mean, there are a number of different things you could do that would be kind of out-of-the-box solutions, but one way you might be able to fix him that I know is a pretty common suggestion for Spirit's Domain is to allow it to pierce. Now, if you did that, you would have to drastically change some of the numbers, because if he pierced with the current numbers that he has, you'd probably see Spirit's Domain go from a pretty bad pick to S tier overnight. Can you imagine being able to pierce multiple targets for 800 healing per second on top of your totems with that double movement speed proc, and then potentially maybe even hitting the enemies for some damage too? That would be disgusting. So you'd have to find a way to nerf Spirit's Domain in some capacity if you allow it the ability to pierce. And so what you might be able to do is, I don't know, you could make it so that it has a diminishing effect, kind of like the opposite of Scorch. You know how Scorch for Fernando allows you to gain more damage for each target you pierce? Make it do the opposite. Less damage and less healing for each target you pierce, but you'd still be allowed to hit multiple people. That would help Grock kind of play into the idea of him being this AoE character, who's able to do big area heals. Oh my god. Oh, please. No. But is that the best solution? I mean, it would still be kind of finicky to play because you'd be trying to get your teammates to line up in a weird way, and sometimes lining up is a really bad idea, especially if you are against someone like Scorch Fernando or possibly Koga with his claws. So, yeah, I don't know. It is a solution. Is it the best solution? I don't know. But it is one of the most common solutions I've seen, and it probably would be a good route to explore. But that's where I leave the floor open to you, in the comments section down below. What do you think would be a good way to make this talent a bit more competitively viable? Or perhaps, does it need to be competitively viable? I mean, who says every talent has to be the most viable thing in the game? Certainly if you play Spirit's Domain Grock in casuals, you'll have some wins, you'll have some losses. Will it be the most effective thing? No. But will you be throwing? Also, no. It's not like you're just throwing the entire game away with a useless character. It's not like you're playing Kasumi before she got the rework, right? So, it's not that bad. The buffs they've given it have certainly helped out. But, I mean, if you were to make it competitively viable and ranked, what would you do? I don't know. to me it just has always kind of struck me as a weird talent for Grohk, because even though it is fun and satisfying in some cases, it's just really not what his core design is about, you know? It's about those totems. It's about being that true hybrid. That's why I love Totemic Ward so much. Like, Totemic Ward has been meta for Grohk for the longest time now, and I'm okay with that. Like, I really like that playstyle. It's what Grohk is meant to be. So, like, I don't think we need Spirit's Domain to supplant Totemic Ward necessarily. It's all a very weird situation. And it also kind of harkens back to a broader issue with the support class as a whole, which is when you have multiple healing talents for one character. Ow! Big burst of damage. But when you have multiple healing talents, one of them will always be meta, and the other one will always be perceived as terrible in the eyes of the community. And this is true for pretty much every support right now that has these, you know, this double support talent dynamic, right? You have Pip. I guess Pip is probably the most even example with Mega Potion and Combat Medic. But then you have Moldamba, where Spirit's Chosen is obviously better than Gord, unless I guess maybe you're on Controller and you just can't hit shots because Moldamba doesn't have aim assist on Controller. It's very awkward. I understand playing Gord, you know, then. But, yeah. I'm blanking on another character who has a talent dynamic like this right now. But in the past, that's been true for so many different cases. Mortal Reach, the old Mortal Reach versus Agony. Everyone played Mortal Reach. It was simply simpler and, you know, better. What else was there? Oh, I guess there was... no! Please don't die. I have this Cassie on me. My brain is really struggling to remember things right now while this hectic fight is going on. I'm almost out of ammo. No, I wasn't able to save Inara. Crap. I'm gonna try and cap... I do not have my ult, but maybe we can take out this barrack. There we go. Get another totem on the field. I need ultimate charge. No, I don't have it. And Ying is not able to teleport to me on point because I died, so that's gonna be a GG. Ah, unfortunate, man. But yeah, usually the solution to fix this dynamic for supports, at least somewhat fix it, is to create a situation where you have a true main, you know, healing talent, you have a damage talent, and then you have like a hybrid talent or utility talent that goes in some other direction, where you're not buffing the healing, instead of giving them a utility option. And ultimately that is kind of what Totemic Ward is, if you think about it, because it gives you the extra utility of having a larger area of effect on the totems, and a third totem, meaning you get more uptime on Spirit's Grace. So... yeah, I guess Spirit's Domain is technically that healing talent, but then it's also worse than Totemic Ward. It's a weird dynamic, man. Grohk is a weird character, but I love him at the end of the day. He is a bucket of fun. And that's why I have him in the triple digits. My goodness. I wonder how many people have forgotten about that, because I don't actually upload that much Grohk on the channel, but he is my highest level support, so... And yeah, we were able to get 94,000 healing there, still able to get 50,000 damage, which is alright. Certainly a lot more than the Corvus. He barely shot at all that game. But he did manage to get 173,000 healing as well. That's pretty impressive. And you know what, Ying with Resonance there, she did do a pretty decent amount of damage, and actually was competitive with me on the healing front. Sadly, though, she didn't get nearly as many kills as I hoped she would have. She got the same amount of kills as me, so yeah, that's... I don't know, it's a bit goofy. Resonance is always a bit goofy. I don't really understand a playstyle personally. I'm not a Ying expert. But yeah, let me know what you think about Grohk in the comments section down below. What do you think about Spirit's Domain? Do you agree with my assessment? And what would you do to potentially fix it? Do you think anything even needs fixing? Is it okay for this talent to not be meta? That's kind of, in a weird way, how I'm feeling. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. But yeah, also drop a like on this video, subscribe if you're new around here, and also if you want to support the channel directly, please consider checking out the Nexus over at nexus.gg/AndrewChicken. There you can buy crystals, the season pass, DLC, all sorts of wonderful stuff like that, and support the channel directly in the process. Officially affiliated with Evil Mojo, it is a great way to support the channel. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.